and gentlemen, and let me check the audio real quick just to make sure. All right, yes, the audio is perfectly fine. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to today's live stream edition of all the things NASCAR at Las Vegas for this NASCAR Cup Series Sunday. And we're going to take you through my predictions, the race analysis before the race gets started in this live stream that will take around about 45 minutes to an hour, leading you to the start of the race today, which I will be commentating live on the channel and another stream immediately after the finish of this live stream here today. And we'll also wrap things up at the end of the night with a post-race following the actual race, where that will be on a separate live stream as well. Any driver interviews that will be played on race day, or I guess whatever the post-race show would be for the NASCAR race this weekend, and other stuff to go along with what goes down in the race today that we have yet to see. Like, share, and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as we get into this one here today. Tristan Heidenkamp, Tyler Burbeck, R6, welcome to the stream. Yes, we're going to talk all things fantasy here today. We're going to talk about my predictions, how they've gone so far this season, how I think today's race will play out, and much more. Obviously, you guys down in the chat will get to ask some questions, fantasy advice, betting potentially advice as well, coming into today's race. For who the picks are going to be to not only win, but run well, not run well, and much more. So we're going to start off with, like we usually do, with the drivers that I don't predict are going to have very good days. At least at bare minimum, these are drivers I predict will not get a top 10 today. I have two of them on this list. I have a little bit of stats to back it up for the one driver, but mostly it's been based off of how they've ran to start this season as well, at least for one of them. Also, and I'm going to start off with Kurt Busch first and foremost. Kurt Busch is going to be a driver that is going to be on the don't haves list for this week, or the ones not to watch, I guess you would say. Kurt not running too well at Las Vegas, especially this season. I know he got a top 10 at Auto Club, but I don't see how Kurt Busch is going to be able to run well today. He was very slow in practice once again. He qualified outside the top 30 as well. That is not good. I don't care if it's his first season with the new team. It's just amazing how slow that team has been out of the gate. Last weekend, I know he ended up failing a pre-race inspection, so he had to start at the back as it was, but even in practice, he was right around 30th. The Busch Clash, he missed the main event. In practice, he was outside the top 20. Daytona 500, kind of forgettable for Kurt Busch. And then we pull into Las Vegas this weekend. How can things turn around for that 45 team this week? I don't think they will. He's only got 7 top 10 finishes in 24 career Las Vegas starts. That is less than a third of the time he's going to finish in the top 10 in his career starts at Las Vegas. He only has 2 top 10s in the last 10 spring races at Las Vegas. Most of his success at Vegas in recent years have come during the night race in the fall time, completely different track conditions. And obviously his recent success has come more with the 550 package. This is completely different from that as well. So throw all the recent success like his win 2 years ago out the window. Kurt Busch, in my opinion, is not going to have himself a good day today at Las Vegas. He is one pick to stay away from in your fantasy lineups today. The other pick to stay away from is going to be a guy like Aric Almirola. Almirola does have 2 finishes inside the top 10 this season. In fact, he's the only driver to finish in the top 10 for the first 2 races this season. But in his last 5 Las Vegas starts, he has finished 13th or worse in every one of them. I think he's going to come down to earth today. I think this is going to be the first race he does not finish in the top 10. That's more of a bold prediction, or I wouldn't say bold prediction, because it's not like Aric Almirola is, in my opinion, a championship contender or anything like that. But at the same time, the Stewart-Haas racing team in general did not run well on the intermediates last year. This is the second intermediate now, and I know he ran good at Auto Club, but he also had the stats going into that race to back it up. Remember, last week I had Almirola as a sleeper pick to run well at Auto Club based off of his track history there. His track history does not match also what SHR did most of last season on the intermediates, so basing it off of that, I have Aric Almirola also not finishing in the top 10 today. So let me get that graphic off of there. And now's the time where I will open up the chat for questions and see what you guys think about not only those 2 picks, but maybe other drivers who you want me to talk about as a potential driver not to have, or guys that you think will have bad days today. Tony444, welcome to the stream as well. Jackson Thomas Parkway intros. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Larson will take the race. Yes, we'll talk about the race win predictions very, very soon. But as of right now, we're talking about the drivers that aren't going to run well. I think it's going to be Kyle Busch or others like Busch in the trucks, a bunch of young people. I'm not sure. If you were talking about the truck race the other night, that was a crazy. Both races this weekend have been crazy between the truck and the Xfinity race so far. It'll be interesting to see how this one will play out because those were kind of both caution fests for the most part for both races. So I wonder how this one is going to be here today. We obviously saw on the first intermediate track with the next-gen car last week. This one not as difficult as far as the bumps go and the wear and tear of the surface, but Vegas does have wear and tear. There will be multiple groove racing today, that's for sure. Billy Kramer, welcome to the stream as well. Tried to sign in and watch on Fox with Sling. We can't get it in your area. Well, that's dumb. Jeffrey Giordano, welcome to the stream. Go Bubba Wallace 23. NASCAR is a big fan. Yeah, I talked about Kurt Busch having a bad day today. I'm going to stay away from any predictions on Bubba Wallace right now because he's kind of been... He's been hard to predict this year to begin with, so I've kind of stayed away from him outside of Daytona. I had him as a sleeper pick pretty much all speed weeks long because of not only how he ran in speed weeks this year, but how he tends to run on the super speedways, especially throughout speed weeks in recent years as well. On the intermediate tracks, I did not talk about him really at all last week at Auto Club, nor this week. He's so hard to predict. I mean, it's like randomly he can run up inside the top 10, like 6th to 10th, and then other times he's back outside the top 20. And he can do that at the same track, 2 different races at the same track throughout the course of the year. His numbers at most racetracks that are not super speedways or short tracks, you have a hard time trying to predict how he is going to run, so I'm staying away from him now until he starts to show some consistency, either whether it's bad or good consistency on the intermediates, because it's really tough. And there are other drivers like that too, but Wallace is probably one of the bigger ones for sure. Well, Billy, at least you'll have the live commentary of the race today because I will be doing that in a stream following this one. I would not pick Brad Keselowski or William Byron today. Yeah, so Byron did not, or I should say Byron ran well last week. He didn't get a good finish. He ran better than what I thought he would run going into the race. And he did win on a 1.5 miles last season. And seemed to be that the 1.5 miles were probably his strong suit last season. Again, completely different package. So I didn't want to base last year's success on the 1.5 miles to today. I wasn't going to talk about Byron really at all for prediction purposes today. But I don't think he's a terrible pick. I definitely don't think he's a guy that absolutely everybody should stay away from, but I don't think he's a terrible pick. Now, I'm not predicting him to finish in the top 10 or not finish in the top 10, because if I do that for every driver, then at some point I'm going to get a bunch of predictions wrong. So I try to keep it tight within like 2 to 3 drivers every week in each category. Keselowski's interesting too. He had speed at Auto Club last week like I thought he would. He didn't get the finish I thought he would because he spun a couple times. He's kind of been a wrecking ball this season, to say the least. Also, to go back to Byron, my preseason prediction video, I did have William Byron winning at Las Vegas in my preseason prediction video. Last week at Auto Club, I predicted Larson to win correctly in the preseason predictions, so I've already got one correct in the first 2 races there. Week-by-week predictions, like in these prediction videos or live streams like you're seeing tonight, I have not predicted the winner correctly yet. I came close in the Clash. With taking Kyle Busch, he finished second. And then last week I also had Kyle Busch, and then I had Logano for the 500. I think he will not be up there today. As far as Keselowski or Byron, I'm guessing you're probably talking about both of them, considering you did a little bit ago. I would not pick Harvick. Yeah, I almost put Harvick in the don't have list. He has been bad with this next-gen car in the intermediates. I know this is only going to be the second race, and he still did get a top 10 last week at Auto Club. But think about last week. He wrecked at Auto Club. First lap of practice. Had no more practice. Had to start at the rear because he couldn't qualify because he wrecked his primary car. Gets to the backup car. I can tell you, I was there in person last week. He was terrible. He was 16th to 25th all day long. And then we had those late restarts at the end of the race, and he somehow got in the top 10. I don't know how, but he did. And then you fast forward to this weekend. Abysmal in practice. He's outside the top 20 in practice again, and he qualified outside the top 20 as well. Something is not clicking with Harvick in this new car, and I'm almost wondering, with how easier it was on these drivers, these talented drivers, to run the 550 package, keep it off the wall, whatever, just drive the car in a straight line. And I wonder if that was highlighting Kevin Harvick these last 2 seasons. I know he didn't win last year, but he still finished 5th in the point standings and was very consistent. He was the only SHR car to run consistent on the 550 tracks. He wasn't competing for wins really on them, but he was running good. And then the year before that, he won 9 races. But remember, only 2 of those races he won were on 750 tracks, which would have been the Bristol Night Race and then one of the Dover doubleheader races in 2020. Harvick, the other 7 wins, they came on 550 tracks. And those are the intermediates. And, that's Harvick's, I guess, bread and butter in a sense, but especially that season. So now that we're out of the 550 package and there's a lot lower downforce with these next-gen cars, and Harvick is struggling out of the gate this year, I think that could be concerning for any Kevin Harvick fans going forward this season. Now, we'll see. He is a former champion. He's one of the greatest in the sport, talent purposes, not only today, but, in general in NASCAR. Really, he's an arguable top 10 driver of all time. Arguable. And the fact that he is struggling out of the gate, it could just be early issues for the Ford team. But you got to know that he is at the end of his career one way or another, whether he finishes towards the top of the pecking order or he kind of finishes the way Jimmy Johnson did a couple years ago, or the way Tony Stewart kind of ended his career those last 2 to 3 years where he wasn't really competitive. Is that going to be Kevin Harvick's fate between this season and next season with the next-gen car? Also, to go back with Tony Stewart, he ran awesomely. I mean, he was awesome throughout his career with the Gen 4, the car of tomorrow, whether it was with the wing or with the spoiler. Then they got to the Gen 6 car, and he was pretty much abysmal with the next-gen car, with the Gen 6 car. He couldn't figure out that car very well, and the stats went to prove it too those last 3 seasons he was in the Cup Series. So now we look at Kevin Harvick. He was awesome with the Gen 4 car, had some big wins, won a championship in the Gen 6 car, ran considerably well with RCR in the car of tomorrow. And now we get to the next-gen car, and I know it's only 2 races in. Again, I would agree with you if he can turn it around because we're only a couple races in. But is this a similar fate to maybe what we saw with, I'd say more Tony Stewart than Jimmy Johnson, with Tony Stewart in the mid-2010s where he just can't get the handle of the new car? And, that's going to be interesting to watch and see. It's also going to be interesting because if he is struggling this bad throughout the season, he could be in danger of missing the playoffs. So it's going to be fun to watch Harvick for one reason or another. If you're a Harvick fan, you're probably going to be on the edge of your seat every week hoping that he gets some good finishes somewhere along the line so he doesn't miss the playoffs. But at the same time, I mean, his teammates are outrunning him. Cole Custer's outrunning Harvick through 2 races this year. Chase Briscoe is outrunning Harvick through 2 races. Eric Almirola's got 2 top 10s to start the season. Harvick, out of the gate, is really the only SHR car that I don't have really any confidence in on the intermediates right now. And that can be concerning for SHR. It could also be good considering that maybe they have a brighter future than what people might have thought last season, considering the 2 young stars have probably been 2 of the better drivers on that team this season. Sleeper time. Yeah, let's get into those sleeper picks now. We've talked about drivers who aren't going to run well enough. And drivers like Harvick's case, maybe who have been struggling so far this season as well. So, now to the dark horse picks. You guys keep saying Tyler Reddick. Well, you know what? I'm going to say Tyler Reddick as well. Let me move that down so you guys can see my face. We'll talk about Tyler Reddick first, and then we'll pull that second driver up on the list as well. All right, dark horse picks. Tyler Reddick is on my radar this weekend. I will tell you, he is going to be on my fantasy team this week. Usually with the sleeper picks, I don't always put him on my fantasy team. And usually if I do, I don't tell you guys, or vice versa. But Tyler Reddick, I mean, he's got to be the hottest driver in NASCAR this season. I'm talking 2022, and that's counting the Busch Clash and the 2 points races we've had so far. Tyler Reddick has been the best driver. Unfortunately, the point standings are not dictating that because he hasn't had great finishes. And as well, in the Busch Clash, he didn't have a great finish there. He also DNF'd. But he has been fast out of the gate this year. RCR's been fast. Austin Dillon finished second last week at Auto Club. So you have Dillon finishing second last week at Auto Club. Tyler Reddick's leading a bunch of laps in multiple races. He led 51 laps in the Busch Clash. He led 90 laps at Auto Club last week and won the first 2 stages. Auto Club and intermediate with a lack of grip. Las Vegas, intermediate track with a lack of grip. Now, I think there will be a little bit more grip. It's not as bumpy as the surface, and there will be a little bit cooler temperatures today at Vegas versus what it was at Auto Club in the sun last week. It may get slick from time to time, though, with this car, and considering that there is a little bit of wear and tear on Las Vegas' track surface. But look out for Tyler Reddick today. I say he definitely gets a top 10. I think he definitely gets a top 10 finish. He finished 6th at Vegas last time we were here in the fall as well, and he ended up finishing 7th and 3rd in both of those stages. He qualified 7th this week in final practice, or in the practice session yesterday. He was also 7th, so he has top 10 speed again this week. He's shown it out of the gate even before the race started. Look out for Tyler Reddick. Another driver to look out for, which I was kind of surprised coming into the week, but I think because of how much speed he has right now, you have to consider that this guy could run very well, and that's going to be Christopher Bell. I have Christopher Bell also on the list this weekend. Bell qualified on the pole. He was second fastest in practice yesterday. He finished 7th in the spring race last season, finished 6th and 7th in both of those stages in that race. I think that Christopher Bell is definitely somebody that could also put on a pretty good show today. He's on the front row. He's got a good qualifying spot. Again, he was able to hold up the speed in practice. I think Christopher Bell wrecks today. Not enough Cup Series experience yet. That's a bold prediction right there. I have Christopher Bell on my radar this weekend. I think both him and Reddick at bare minimum get top 10s today. Will they compete for a win? I think based off the speed we've seen out of the RCR cars, especially Reddick to start the season, I'm more confident with Tyler Reddick, but I am also confident with Bell specifically this weekend. Again, he had a top 10 here last year, finished 7th in the spring. He ran top 7 all day, as I mentioned. He finished 6th and 7th in both stages. So if he can do that again today, similar conditions as last year, I know it's a different car, but I think he can definitely have a solid run today. I'd say of the JGR drivers so far this season, I'd probably say that Truex and Hamlin have been the best, but it's not by a clear margin. Honestly, all 4 of them, all 4 Joe Gibbs Toyotas are pretty much equal with each other this year, to be completely honest. I don't really think you can put one ahead of the other. They've ran either back half of the top 10 or outside the top 10, except for Daytona when Truex surprisingly ran really well and won both stages, and then Kyle Busch ran well in the Clash. But in the points races, or I should say last week, which was the only intermediate racetrack we ran on with the next gen car, race-wise, that's interesting. I want to see down in the chat what you guys have for sleeper picks. I know a lot of you guys were talking about Reddick before I actually, went into Reddick, but I also have Christopher Bell on here. Interested to see what you guys think of Bell. I did see it, like I said, R6 said that Christopher Bell was going to wreck today, not enough experience, but we'll see. Hopefully he can get a good finish for my sake. Make me look better. My predictions this year are pretty 50-50 with them to start the year. First 2 races, I picked it up last week at Auto Club. I did much better than what I did at Daytona. My Daytona predictions were terrible. I'm not going to lie. They were bad predictions. But so far on the year, I'm like right at 500. I'm 2-2 in both the sleeper picks. I'm 2-2 in the don't have picks, and I'm 2-3 in the must-have picks as far as good finishes go, or bad finishes. When is my live commentary of the race? Ashton G, Patrick Shadley, I see you guys down in the chat. Welcome to the stream, guys. Yes, I will be starting the commentary at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Not going to take this predictions video all the way up until then. We'll end it about 10 to 15 minutes shy of it. Want to know the fantasy lineup, Keegan? I'd say hold off on the fantasy line. I mean, I would like to see your guys' lineup, but don't tell me until the live commentary of the race. So that way nobody has a chance to steal your picks. Ricky Stenhouse, potential sleeper today. He did qualify in the top 10, and he ran well at Auto Club last week. He was top 10 all day. Finished top 10 in both stages, finished 10th. He was actually in stage 1. He was looking like he could have contended. He was battling for 3rd there for a little bit. I think he was as high as 2nd early in the race. Stenhouse could be a potential sleeper pick. It's definitely possible. Rebounded huge at Auto Club, your fantasy team. I wish I could say the same. I literally only scored 1 point better last week at Auto Club than what I did Daytona. My predictions were better, but I didn't take my own advice with the sleeper picks. I didn't have Austin Dillon or Eric Almirola on my fantasy lineup, and I had him in sleeper picks. And I told you guys that they would be good sleeper picks. I expect them to get a top 10. What I do, I didn't put either one of those two in my fantasy lineup. This week, I'm taking my own advice. Let's just say that much. With the sleepers and the must-haves. Predict Byron will have a rebound race after the first 2 races. Yeah, I mean, he's had speed. He has had speed on the intermediates. We saw it all last year. He was pretty much 3rd to 6th all season, pretty much, in the point standings. And fortunately, just had, one bad super speedway race in the playoffs at Talladega. And then knocked him out in the round of 12. And then Reddick also dumped him at the Roval as well. Yeah, if Reddick doesn't have a mechanical issue today, I think he can contend for the win. Had Almirola on my fantasy team last week. Yeah, that's... You see, you listen to my advice. I wish I could say the same for myself. Alrighty. Let's get into these must-have predictions of the drivers I expect to really run well, compete for the win, and eventually my race win pick. So let's take a look at that real quick. Let me pull the graphic up on the screen. Alrighty. So we'll just look at these stats here for a little bit. Here are the 3 drivers I expect to finish at bare minimum in the top 10, but these are my drivers who you should absolutely have in your fantasy lineup this week. I want to see everybody in the fantasy league to have these 3 drivers in your lineup. We're going to start off with my man, Ryan Blaney. He's going to be on this list for the first time this season for the points races at least. He's got 5 top 5s and 8 top 10s in his 11 career Las Vegas starts. He was 3rd in practice yesterday. Didn't qualify as well. He even stated during the Xfinity Series broadcast, which he was a part of the booth in, that he had just made a mistake. He overdrove turn 3 on entry and kind of clipped that white line a little too much. And that hurt his momentum off the exit of the corner, costing him a chance to get into the top 10 at least. He still qualified 11th, even with that major mistake from his behalf. So, obviously, his car's got speed this weekend. And, again, he's got great stats to pull it off at Las Vegas. He's one of the better drivers at Vegas. And I'd say this and Kansas are his 2 best mile-and-a-halves on the circuit by far. He doesn't have a very long career. Again, he's one of the younger drivers, so the fact he's got that much success and just 11 career starts is pretty impressive, to say the least. With his Penske teammate, Joey Logano, also going to be on the must-have list this weekend. Logano has not finished worse than 14th in his last 13 Las Vegas starts. That would include the spring and then the fall races the last few years as well. He's got 8 straight top 10s in the Las Vegas spring races. He won in 2019 and 2020. He has led a combined 494 laps at Las Vegas in his last 12 starts at the racetrack. He was 5th in practice yesterday. He qualified top 10. Look out for Joey Logano. This is the driver I've probably talked about and highlight and praised the most going into each race every week. I had him in the must-have list last week. He ran well. He had a top 5. I had him in the must-have list at Daytona. In fact, he was my prediction to win the Daytona 500. He had a fast car. Unfortunately, he got taken out in a wreck early. So we'll see what Logano will show up here today. He's got really good success, specifically in the spring Vegas race. His fall Vegas stats not as good as his spring Vegas stats. I mentioned that he has not finished worse than 14th in his last 13 Vegas starts. 2 of those finish he has outside the top 10 in recent years was 2 of the last 3 fall races. So look out for Logano today. I think he is going to be a contender. And plus, Blaney, Logano, they both got Pennzoil on their cars this weekend. I mean, how could you not say they're going to run well with the Pennzoil paint schemes for both drivers in the Pennzoil 400? Kyle Larson, last year's spring Las Vegas winner and last week's winner at Auto Club in the NASCAR Cup Series, has to be the odds-on favorite today. He has 8 top 10 finishes in his last 11 Las Vegas starts. He has 4 top 3s in the last 8, including a spring race win a season ago. In both races at Las Vegas last year, he led a combined 198 laps. He qualified 2nd, and he was fastest in practice yesterday. Kyle Larson is going to be one to watch today. And Kyle Larson, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be my pick to win this race this weekend. I have not picked Larson to win yet this season on the week-to-week predictions. I say he goes back-to-back, and he's looking like the championship favorite early on in the year with his win today at Las Vegas. If he wasn't already the championship favorite, which, after winning the championship last season, you would think going into this season he would probably be the championship favorite. And if the first 2 races didn't prove that, he's going to prove that again today. So I didn't go above and beyond. I did want to pick Logano again, especially with picking him a lot the last couple of weeks to start the season, at least to run well. And again, he was my win pick in the Daytona 500 also. KFB is a must-have. I wouldn't say Kyle Busch is a must-have because he is in a backup car. He didn't have a lot of practice. And we saw for the drivers that didn't really have practice last week because they wrecked, they didn't run very well in the race. So with that being said, I would pump the brakes on Busch being a must-have for that reason. He may struggle today. He may still run well, but it's very undecided, to say the least. The stats at Las Vegas compared to other mile and a halves, not great for KFB as well, but we'll see. Tyler says that Larson's going to go back-to-back. Also consider Hamlin a sleeper. Hamlin's not a sleeper. I know he hasn't won a championship, but the guy's got over 40 career wins. He's not. It's either a must-have or don't have when it comes to Denny Hamlin. He can't be a sleeper pick. Honestly, if you have 5 or more wins in the Cup Series, you're not considered a dark horse or a sleeper anymore. I wouldn't say Hamlin's a sleeper. He won at Las Vegas last season, too. Hamlin won the fall race at Vegas last year. Yeah, you can't consider Hamlin a sleeper. If you think he's going to run well, maybe a must-have. But not for me this week. Kyle Busch is great at Vegas. Not as much in recent years. Let me look up Kyle Busch's stats. I looked at it this morning when I was pulling the statistics together. Let's see here. Plus, the main reason, even if he does have better stats than what I remembered from this morning, yeah, he's got good stats. He's got 4 top 3 finishes in the last 8 races. But he's got 3 top 10s in the last 5. They're good. He's not leading any laps, though, either. He's not really running up towards the front. He's finishing up towards the front, but he's not running there. He has only led, let's see, do my quick math here for a second. Kyle Busch has only led 32 laps combined in the last 9 Las Vegas races he's ran in. So, he's finishing well. He's not scoring a lot of stage points either. Last year's spring race, he only scored 2 stage points. 2 years ago in the spring race, he only scored 1 stage point. He didn't score any stage points in the fall race in 2019. So he's not scoring a lot of stage points either. He's just not running up. He's finishing at the front of the field, but he's not running up there. And he's starting at the back today. So I'm not confident with Busch for the must-have. I think he can be a good pick today, but I'm not going to tell you guys you should absolutely start him like these other drivers. Peyton, welcome to the stream. I have Blaney finish 19th. Is that your prediction? Blaney's going to finish 19th today? Blaney was good at Vegas. What was it? 2020, right before COVID. He almost won the race. He was leading with 2 laps to go, then they had a caution, and they decided to pit, and he ended up finishing, I think, 10th, unfortunately. 10th or 11th. Got taken out of a shot to win. He didn't even get a great finish out of it either. I have to go back and look. I can't remember if he actually got back in the top 10 on that last restart. Bowman was in second, if I remember right, too, and he also pit. Like, those two were running 1-2, just like they did at Auto Club the following week. Only Bowman was able to win that race. And then Blaney had a flat tire at Auto Club, too. So he was having great runs to start 2020, but he just wasn't getting great finishes, excluding the Daytona 500. Austin Dillon is a sleeper pick today with Reddick. Yeah, RCR's had speed. Dillon finished well last week. I like that pick. I'm definitely more confident with Reddick. I think he's shown clearly more speed from start to finish of the race. I'm not sure where exactly Austin Dillon was yesterday in practice and qualifying. I don't think he had top 10 speed like Reddick did. Otherwise, I think I would have remembered it. You're gonna have to hang on. Oh, come on. Just gonna pull up the practice and qualifying results from yesterday. Oh, hang on. What am I seeing here? Oh, yeah, that's this week. Elliott and Harvick among 5 teams to lose crew members, multiple inspection failures. Elliott and Harvick among 5 teams. Okay, so are they starting at the back then? See, this just hurts Harvick even worse. We were kind of talking down on him to start the day, even though he wasn't in the don't have list. I considered it, but I didn't pull the trigger with it. I think Elliott will be fine. I think he'll still have speed. The Hendrick cars were good on the intermediates last year. Larson, Byron definitely both have speed this weekend. They were top 10 in practice and qualifying. But it'll be interesting to see for the rest of those guys what exactly will come about. Got 9 likes on the stream. Make sure you hit that like button as well. I don't know what I'm going to do for the... I'm probably going to have to try to get one of my parents' phones for the live stream today. So I forgot my phone charger at work yesterday. So my phone has been dead since... And only my charger works with it. So I can't use anybody else's charger in the house, unfortunately. So my phone's been dead since like last night. I don't know how I'm going to use the chat during the live. I'm able to use the chat now because my display capture is not on OBS, but I'm going to have the display capture on to get the raw feed for you guys during the race today. So you guys can see the leaderboard as the race is going on. Dylan starting 10th. Oh, okay. That's good for him. Yeah, I was trying to look it up, and that article caught my eye, so I didn't see that before. Fox's broadcast is on right now on Fox itself. It started at 3, but our our live race commentary will start at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Comment in the chat, though. Final predictions. Who you think is going to win? I saw some of you guys predicting that earlier when we started this live stream, but predict who you think is going to run well with the must-have picks. Seen a couple of them. Some of you guys are saying that Hamlin and Kyle Busch will have good runs. We'll see. We'll see. It does seem pretty universal. You guys are thinking Reddick will have a good day, as well as myself. Definitely the most obvious pick. It's going to be a train wreck in the booth, Danica and Boyer. That's why I am here, ladies and gentlemen. I will be here commentating the... No, I'm kidding. I think Danica's insight was all right during the SRX series last year. The only problem with her commentating the SRX races was that she didn't know the rules. She raced in NASCAR for, enough time. Didn't she do some commentating in IndyCar races as well? I heard she did good commentary for IndyCar races before. So I think she'll be fine in the booth today. Serviceable. I like Ty Dillon, LOL, and JK. Welcome to the stream. I think Austin Dillon will do well, too. There we go. 3-horse race for the win between Reddick, Larson, and Logano. It's a good prediction. I can definitely see that happening. Oh, Blaney. Blaney looks so... It's crazy. When Blaney has a beard, he looks like he's like near 40. And then when he doesn't, he looks like he's like 18. It's crazy. I mean, I guess that'd probably be me too. Well, I don't look that old. I probably look like I'm either 30. I look like I'm 30 with the beard. Late 20s, 30. And then when When I'm clean, granted, I haven't been clean shaven in a few years, but when I was clean shaven, I looked younger than what I actually was. I looked like I was 15, 16 years old when I was 18, so I guess I'm kind of like that too. That's probably most people, though. Danica commentated the 500. The Indy 500? Thought that's where... I was going to say, I only watched like maybe 4 or 5 IndyCar races last year, but I remember her commentating one of them. I only saw the end of that race because I had my whole rental car situation, but... Alrighty. Well, if you guys don't have anything extra to add in the comments section below, I think we're going to end this live stream for the predictions for the Pennzoil 400 at Las Vegas today for the NASCAR Cup Series. Our live commentary will be at the bottom of the hour. It will start at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll go through the starting lineup and recap those predictions that we had in this live stream in case you missed it at the very start of the stream before the race will actually begin. And then after the race is over, we will be doing a post-race analysis live stream. We'll talk all things that happened throughout the race, my perspective of it. But the realistic live commentary will be coming up next. Thanks, everybody, for watching. I will see you guys at the bottom of the hour. See you soon.